Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. Oh dear, we have Wild Riders. This is a fun one. This is a very fun one, actually. This is Aristodemos, and it's actually against Turin. Both of them are using ridiculous aliases. Just, come on guys, just use your names, you know? Just, come on. Anyway, so here you can see, it's two Wild Riders over here in the trees. I point them out early because, well, there's some Death Runners literally on top of them. Yeah, there we go. Already fighting. Pretty crazy. So, yeah, Death Runners, obviously great for sundering armor, and they're great for sneaking up to things like this. They've got the concealment bomb, so if you can catch something, even if it is unarmored, you're not making use of that armor, you know, the weeping blades to halve their armor or anything. It doesn't really matter. They're still pretty good in combat. They can still do a lot of damage, and if they can get the jump on something, you know, like Wild Riders, for instance, Wild Riders need that charge bonus to be able to just, you know, chew through enemies. And if they don't get the charge off, then they don't really perform as well. So this is actually not half bad. Not half bad for Turin there. So, over here, Aristodemos also has 3 Deepwood Scouts. That's basically his front line. I know, it's a bit mad. Also, a Waystalker. Waystalkers, I think, are great in this matchup. Yeah, their ammunition is magic, so you can ignore any of the physical resist or any of the Lords and Heroes, which is fairly common, certainly with, you know, Skrulk being the optimum choice. And so, it's actually pretty damn good. You know, it's very handy for just whittling away at things. He does have Snipe, so you can just shoot without being seen. So, very, very nice pick here. You know, get damage over time. Very useful if you need to keep sort of cycle charging, you need to prolong an engagement, because, well, there's a lot of cavalry. There's 2 more Wild Riders and some Sisters of Thorn. Also, you can see a Glade Lord on a dragon. It is the Glady, does have a Prayer of Anathema, very useful for helping to control the battlefield and helping your Deepwood Scouts get some work in. Also here you can see a Spellsinger of Life. Of course, when you've got such an expensive army, you know, such a small elite army, you need to be able to heal it up. You've got to. You can't let them get caught out and killed, because they're all glass cannons. You know, any of these units get caught out, they're going to die very, very quickly. That's the nature of units like this. So, Turin's army over here, you can see he's got 2 Warp Lightning Cannons. Very handy indeed. They can shoot towards, well, anything. They've got such great range. You know, if you have a nice spread out formation, any Wild Riders or something try and approach, or the Glady on a dragon, you can get good shots at them. You know, it's very, very useful. Also, over here you can see Gutter Runner Slingers, really nice cost-effective way to get some damage from range as well into unarmored units like that. Especially because these Wild Riders don't have shields, none of them do. So they don't have that silver shield, so they're going to take a lot more missile damage, and with only 40 armor, it's going to hurt. Also, there's some Gutter Runners of Poison, definitely useful for slowing things down. And the front line has Clanarats with shields, so just cheap infantry in the front. But there is also Lord Skrulk, of course. He can summon in more units. You know, Liber Bubonicus, great for dumpstering things, and Rod of Corruption's great in a pinch if you're surrounded, which is nice. And also here, Warlock Engineer. Of course, he has Howling Warp Gale, great for stopping dragon play. Super useful. Or even Hawk Riders and things, though you don't often see them. Also here, an Assassin. So the Assassin, just trophy heads, and okay, now this is something that I find interesting. So if we look at his things down here, all he has is trophy heads. That's the only ability he's taken. The concealment bombs on the Assassin, they're actually free. For some reason you have to pick them as an option, but they don't cost anything. So there's no reason not to take them, which seems unusual. Seems unusual, but that's the case. So no reason not to bring that. Concealment bomb would really help sneak up on things. So that's fun. So, I guess speed things up and watch these guys get killed. So Warp Lightning Cannon doing what they do. But Wild Riders now getting a nice surround on these Death Runners, and you'll see they will start to suffer a bit in here. They will begin to suffer. Those Death Runners will not win this fight, but it's keeping the Wild Riders busy, and the Wild Riders are getting shot at by artillery. So over here you can see Skaven Slaves' spears. They're getting shot at by the Deepwood Scouts. These aren't the Swift Shiver Shards, so no magic damage there. So yeah, they don't get the bonus sort of damage into physical resist having units. But then there aren't really any, apart from Skrulk. And Skrulk doesn't have a lot of armor anyway, so he's going to take a fair bit of damage. Saying that, he doesn't have any physical resist, does he? No, he doesn't. He actually doesn't. Why did I think he had physical resist? I'm sure he used to. It's just the Plague Monks then. Whatever, it's fine. So here he is getting shot at. He is getting shot at by the Waystalker, but the Waystalker has got hit by a Liber Bubonicus, and the Assassin is right on top of him. The Assassin is a lot quicker. 54 speed is not to be sniffed at. So, yeah, that Waystalker is pretty doomed. Not going to lie. But beautiful volley, taking out half that unit. It's actually not a bad idea just to hit all of these units once. It's not a bad idea at all, because it makes them weak enough that just one cavalry charge should break them. It will do, you know, a good chunk of damage, and they'll flee almost immediately. So it just means that all of these defences suddenly won't actually delay anything. And if they can't delay things, then there's no point having them, especially against an army like this. So just using the Deepwood Scouts just to get the odd hit into things is very handy. But here, Waystalker completely dealt with That trophy head's making it impossible for him to fight back, and the assassin is hot on his heels. Over here, though, you can see there are actually more Death Runners, but they got caught out. They got caught out, so they're being absolutely decimated. They've been terrified by the dragon, the Wild Riders are just chewing them up. So that's pretty brutal. Also over here, the other Death Runner's shattered, so these Wild Riders can now move a bit. So, yeah, slightly exposed backs. There is some pressure in the front. Some of the infantry has been pushing forward, but they're struggling to stay in a fight with all these Deepwood Scouts. But that Waystalker, he has just come back, but looks like the assassin's going to chase him again. Over on this side, yep, there we go, shattered. Death Runners are shattered. Cavalry lining up, and Glady, she's going to be trying to avoid some fire, but it looks like he's going for the Spellcaster, which is a very good call. She is a lot more flimsy, and if she has to waste her own healing spells on herself to keep her in the fight, then that's just, you know, it's going to hurt. So here, Aristodemos coming in, and oh, it just misses them. It just misses them. But they did manage to get rid of one artillery piece earlier, so that's pretty good. So over here, you can see more infantry is starting to chase these Deepwood Scouts, so they need to get dealt with, really. If there's any cavalry over here, they could just quickly zip out the trees and just run them both down. That would have been very useful. Back here, though, there's only Clan Rat Spears and Clan Rat Spears here. 2 units of Wild Riders should be able to penetrate this defense. It is not very good, especially when they're trying to keep probing here. Attention is over here at the moment. So once again, those guys have been chased off, but the Deepwood Scouts haven't really got a lot of killing done yet. They've only really sort of taken out a couple of the cheap things. But like I said, all you have to do is whittle them down a bit. It just means there's no defences left for the Wild Riders, you know, to be stopped. They can just charge in and get some work done. The Glady also probing Lord Skrolk, certainly going to help whittle him down. He can't heal, obviously, but he can summon more units in the meantime, so he's pushing out more units. Clan Rats with shields, they're going to fare a bit better than the Skaven slaves, because of course they do have shields, so that will certainly help. So they're going to start chasing the Deepwood Scouts, and more units are trying to come in. That assassin being absolutely melted, though. He doesn't have much armor himself, and Deepwood Scouts are very accurate. But here, this is a bit tricky. Glade Lord, not a lot of armor. 50 armor is not much, and these Gutter Runners, they will actually get some good work in here. And, ooh, being followed up by the Warp Lightning Cannons that are still in action. It's not ideal. But here, this is a nice move. Prey of Anathrema on the Gutter Runners, it just stops them being able to retreat. They can get a lot of work done over the course of this battle, so being able to just pin them down and charge them, it really helps take them out early. See, Wild Riders are following them up. Oh, those Sister Thorns, so more Wild Riders charging in, and the Gutter Runners are struggling. But the artillery is still going. These guys need to make a move quickly to stop these cannons from just wiping out all of these remaining units. It's really rough. And here it looks like Skrolk is going to summon another unit. And some of the slingers are getting taken out by the Wild Riders now. Artillery getting a huge hit into these Wild Riders. Absolutely brutal. This is really bad. This is very bad indeed for the Wild Riders. But the others are starting to come in now. More units being pushed forwards to try and stop them. And it looks like these Wild Riders have been pretty much forgotten about by Turin. So he left his artillery wide open. And that is most of the DPS of the army. So that is absolutely superb get, being able to deal with these guys. And it looks like these Wild Riders are going to get a regrowth, I believe. Nope, it was these ones. It was these ones. And here, Breath Attack, trying to do some work to Skrolk. But Howling Warpgale has pinned the Glady in place, and most of the cav is running. So this is really bad. It suddenly means that what remains of the missile units can continue to shoot at the Glade Lord. But it does look like she has managed to free herself up. That has worn off, and Turin wasn't able to capitalise. But at least it stopped that dragon from diving in and putting in some work. Here, though, those Wild Riders are dealt with, and these are having to flee, but they have got rid of the Warp Lightning Cannons, and the cannon crews are running away. They are running off in this direction. If this cavalry can push in this way, just wipe them out. They'll never be able to get back online. They're too separate from what remains. Here, more cavalry charging in the back, trying to shut down these Gutter Runner slingers, because they are putting in some work here. And now, yep, that's pretty painful. So now, he has been pinned in place, and Turin is able to capitalise. So, capitalise a lot. I mean, look at this. Gutter Runners being back. This is painful. This is very painful. Very painful indeed. And the Spellsinger even got caught out there too. So, yep. Just awful amount of damage on this Glade Lord. Very good get. A very good get. Another Arrow of Kurnos doing some more work to Lord Skrolk. And while he's running away, they almost got caught out. So the Plague Monks are pushing in to try and catch these Wild Riders and Sister Thorn out. And here you can see the Wild Riders are putting in some work. It looks like a regrowth on that Glade Lord is going to put her back into decent state. But All the while, these Deepwood Scouts have been getting chased by clan rats, and they've actually been losing this fight. If they were able to get a surround and, you know, charge those clan rats from 2 different angles, shoot as they run in, they could break that unit so quickly. But because they were both just running away, they're just getting stabbed at the back as they ran. One unit here, though, is starting to return, and that will be useful for whittling down some units. But these guys are sat idle at the moment. You can see these Wild Riders, they're getting charged by these spears, and they are taking damage from the Gutter Runners, which is something you do not want to happen. But a lot of micro happening over here. There's a lot to manage in this army. An awful lot to manage. That's the tough thing. It might be fairly small, but it's super elite and super fragile. You know, it isn't just an army that you march forward and just let it do its thing. No, you've got to be on top of every unit, making sure that you're getting the most out of it. So here, Slingers, like I said, just beautiful value here, but some Deepwood Scout fire coming in, helping to whittle them down a bit. You know, it's good to be able to retaliate with something. So over here now, Deepwood Scouts still fighting these clan rats, and they're wavering. The others are having to shoot in to try and help, but that is just a hugely expensive waste, you know, to lose the Deepwood Scouts like that. That is a real pity. And over here, things are so bogged down. Gutter Runners able to put in so much hurt into these very expensive units, given how injured they are already. So the artillery might be gone, but it doesn't mean there's not damage potential in some of these units. So over here, though, these clan rats have been pretty caught out. So the fear of the Spell Singer on her Eagle, she's going to run in and hopefully break these guys nice and quickly. The Wild Riders are following up too. And still a lot of fire being focused on the Glade Lord, which, to be fair, you know, she is the biggest target on that dragon. So not bad idea. Still very little armor at 50. Definitely worth a go. So more shots coming in, and Skrolk is taking a lot of punishment now. He is taking a lot of punishment. So over here, that cavalry did get finished off by the Gutter Runners. So it looks like the Eagle might be charging in to try and deal with them. And these Wild Riders too. Looks like they can try and deal with the Gutter Runners, which is definitely worthwhile. You know, the Clan Rat Spears are going to be a bit of a problem, but they're not as lethal as the Gutter Runners. You can outrun the Clan Rats if you want. So, more shots, and you can see that Lord Skrolk is in a bit of a bind. But there is still an Assassin and a Warlock Engineer, so there's still quite a lot of tough leadership here to get through. But not much else anymore. You know, this fight over here, you can see these Clan Rats are actually losing this. So that's pretty impressive. You know, with the Eagle, with the Fear, it's really helping. But it looks like they are having to pull out because the Gutter Runners managed to reposition, which is a real pity. Opal Amulet, giving her some damage resistance, certainly helps. And now the dragons continue to push forward. Skrolk really low on health now. Wild Riders have charged into this way, but it looks like another summon is coming in. But an Earthblood to try and heal these guys up. So the Plague Monk's going to be a real problem here, so he's going to have to pull out. Does not want to be fighting a unit that's going to die all by itself if it's allowed to. So here you can see the Deepwood Scouts, very low on ammunition now, but the Wild Riders are able to double back into these Gutter Runners and do some substantial hurt. Here's Spellsinger still chasing, still trying to probe, see what they can find, and Lord Skrolk has been taking even more damage from the Glady. The Glade just been able to sit here and shoot because all the other units have to react to what's on the ground, so nothing can really counter her at the moment, which is very useful. Here you can see the Spellsinger is actually taking the damage while Skrolk is getting shot at, and he has now broken, which is devastating for a Skaven army. So Deepwood Scouts trying to fall back, and the Wild Riders are going to push in. These guys are pretty secluded, and with Fear and Terror here, Skrolk just dying, and these Wild Riders giving all of these units the slip. This is suddenly very painful. These Plague Monks, sure summoned, but you know, that's fine. And what are those, Clan Rat Spears? Yeah, they're going to get shut down very fast. But there's another Howling Warp Gale to pin these guys in place, while the remainder of these ranged units try and put in some work. So Deepwood Scouts still firing, and these Wild Riders now, there's just not enough stuff blocking their paths in. You know, they can charge in without being punished too much for it anymore. You know, there's just not enough strength on the Skaven line anymore. And it looks like those Gutter Runners are gone. The Warlock Engineer looks like is about to break, might just hang on. The Assassin, though, is still pretty healthy, but the Assassin's quick, but not quicker than Wild Riders. You see some units starting to shatter, some starting to break. Warlock Engineer actually still going again, but he knows it's over. He knows it's over. So that is, he ducks out. You know, there's no point watching those two remaining heroes get cycle charged. That's just a waste, isn't it? So yeah, absolutely wonderfully played by both players here. I think the one mistake that really cost Turin or Chuck Norris today, that fight, was just letting those cannons get caught out like that. That was really unfortunate. Really unfortunate indeed. But Banana Muffins, or Aristodemos, he played brilliantly. He played really well. I love this. But again, the Waystalker could have put in so much work if he didn't just walk forward, get Liber Bubonicus, and then chased down by an assassin. So, I guess mistakes on both sides there, but certainly a very fun game nonetheless. So, absolutely wonderful. I think this really takes advantage of a lot of Skaven's weaknesses. Skaven aren't the quickest. You know, they have to use that range to be able to sort of punish any sort of cavalry play. You know, they don't have their own sort of stocky units. I mean, Rat Ogres, sure, they've got some mass, but they just don't hold up against a cavalry charge. You know, they're too flimsy. They don't have the armor. So really, you got to have other units take the charge. But who's just going to charge into a unit if there's Rat Ogre stood behind them, you know? It can be very difficult, so you've got to use those ranged units, which makes the rest of your line kind of flimsy and easy to run over, despite the fact you need it as a barricade. It's a weird one. Skaven are funny like that. But, of course, everything they have just does so much damage that you're kind of cool with it, right? You know, everything's a glass cannon on both sides here, which made it certainly interesting. You know, mistakes get punished way harder than in other matchups, and yeah, great plays just get rewarded a hell of a lot more, which I think is super entertaining, especially given how different the styles were of these two armies. Absolutely wonderful to see. So yeah, great game, guys, and if you guys enjoyed this, then please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.